All right, everybody. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started while I continue to admit people. First of all, welcome to the September Arch General Meeting. I really appreciate your joining us. The months are just flying by. I can't believe it's September, but also it feels like 3 years ago that it was August. And I appreciate your prioritizing this conversation. Um, with regard to housekeeping, a reminder to mute yourself when you aren't speaking. Go ahead and introduce yourself. You can drop your name and, if applicable, your organization or your company affiliation in the chat. We're going to have plenty of time for updates, open conversation. If you have a question, drop it in the chat. Raise your hand. I'll do my best. I do have a lot of things going on the screen at the same time. But just, take yourself off mute. It's a pretty casual meeting this month. And a reminder that this is being recorded, so that we can make it accessible to everyone. If you'd like to access this meeting later, it is uploaded on the Arch YouTube page. I did decline today a couple of AI requests, AI companion requests. And just as a matter of note, we don't admit AI companions into meetings so that we have the opportunity to redact in the event that we need to protect confidentiality. And so we record it, so you don't need to worry about that. So today I anticipate a brief meeting. Things are quiet while work is happening, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We don't have a guest speaker. Our lawmakers are out on break, but we are offering this time as summer review, an opportunity for updates. And so I'm going to go ahead and start from an Arch perspective. There we go. So the National Alliance to End Homelessness has asked the president and Congress to support a $700 million increase in fiscal year 2025 for HUD's homeless assistance grants funding, which includes the Continuum of Care and Emergency Solutions grants, the ESG programs. Please, this is a perfect time to let your lawmakers know just how important these funds are to your community, which is their community too, and sometimes they need a reminder of that. Your advocacy this year has already resulted in nearly 200 members of Congress signing a letter urging colleagues to support that $700 million increase. I just got off of a call actually with some representatives from Speaker Johnson's office, and I'll be meeting with a couple other people, Congress people, over the next week or so. And so please, take advantage of the opportunity to advocate as someone who votes and as someone who works in the state, as in the space. So your lawmakers in DC, the Capitol Hill switchboard is 202-224-3121. I'm going to drop that in the chat right now. 202-224-3121. And you let them know your congressional district, and they will direct your call. The switchboard will direct your call to the appropriate representatives, and you let them know how important it is to increase the funding for COC and ESG programs. You can also email, and we'll go ahead and include that information in our next e-blast. Secondly, the Home ARP funding was awarded, as I discussed last meeting, and we've received our contracts, which we're really excited about. And so I'm sure that over the next couple of months, you will hear from those awarded agencies about progress that they've made, or what's going on in that process of utilizing that Home ARP funding. With regard to the NOFO, that's the Continuum of Care Notice of Funding Opportunity status. So last week, I think it was last week, it may have been the week before, I think it was last week though, each agency that was applying for a project for project funding came and presented to our allocations committee. It was a really incredible afternoon of listening to the great work that the agencies do and seeing how that is how the funding is being utilized and hearing about new programs that they are excited about implementing. On Friday at 5 p.m., a gentle reminder, as I'm sure you all already know, project applications are due for that NOFO. So the process has already been, the letter of intent has been sent in, and then the presentations happened, and now we are at the point where each agency and submits their applications for their individual projects. So those of you who are not in this process, right, you still very much are a part of this process. We want to be extremely transparent. You can go to archacadiana.org/COC. Scroll down to the bottom. You can see the timeline, the scoring sheets. Everything is publicly available, and really this should be as robust a process as possible. We're also now in the process of writing the collaborative application. So for those of you who are less familiar with the process, each agency who has a project that they want to have funded or be funded again, write these applications. Our allocations committee reviews them and makes funding recommendations. And then we immediately turn around and collaboratively write an application that gets sent together to HUD saying, this is how we've decided to utilize this funding. Could we please claim all of the funding that's available in our community? And so it's a really interesting process, and there are ways to engage, whether you are an agency or on the allocations committee or not. And we ask for public feedback after that first draft is published on October 16th. So you'll get an e-blast that says, hey, it's there, take a look. And please set some time aside and review it and give any feedback, or maybe just learn about the projects that are being sent forth. And then there's a final draft. So wanted to make sure that you all are aware of that. With regard to Share House, we've seen thank you so much for helping to get the word out with regard to drop-offs that are outside of our donation times, which is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 10 to 3. We've seen no drop-offs, knock on wood, outside of those hours, and we really appreciate all the help that you've given in sharing our messaging and just guiding your donors at the right times. With regard to needs, we are still in need of small appliances, and we're talking about like coffee makers, microwaves. They have to work though, so please, we're not a fix-it shop. We don't have that capacity. And then we're looking at new ways that we can expand Share House. We've got some exciting thoughts and trying to figure out the best ways to implement it, because we want to build in a way that's sustainable, right? Build out in a way that we know that we can continue to do that work and we're not doing any more harm than good. So, so please keep in mind, we always need beds that are not stained, are bug-free and tear-free. So if you see that, that would be great. Don't forget to also drop in your neighborhood Facebook groups or other social media groups. I know I live in the Saint Streets, and oftentimes people are like, I've put a mattress to the curb. Well, we can't pick them up there, but if we let them know, if we let our neighbors know ahead of time that this service is available, I think that people would probably redirect things from the landfill or from getting rained on at the curb if they knew that it existed. So please help us get the word out. Okay. Next, the State of Homelessness Forum that we had last year was our first annual. We'll be doing it again this year in the month of December. I am working on solidifying a date with the Acadiana Center for the Arts. And so please keep an eye out. We'll definitely send a calendar invite and information about that, but that will be happening in early December before we all, I think, hope to get out and spend a little time with our friends and families for the holidays. I wanted to give a big thanks with regard to hurricane prep. Several agencies came together, but a particular thanks to the administration, who really sought feedback and collaboration from the COC as a whole, and of course to Catholic Charities of Acadiana, who is always sort of our frontline disaster slash homeless response shelter folks. And so big thanks. I'm sure they'll talk more about that later in this meeting, but just wanted to make sure I'm so grateful that it didn't come to fruition in the way that we were fearful it would. And of course, our hearts go out to the people of the area of Florida that's going to be hit in the next couple of days. So hoping that it dissipates, or perhaps it's not quite as strong as they're anticipating. What is going on? Okay. A couple other updates outside of Acadiana before we kick it back to the agencies. The U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness has recently released the Ending Homelessness Before It Starts, a federal homelessness prevention framework report. This framework outlines the steps for creating a community-wide approach to homelessness prevention, defines homelessness prevention categories, shares practices that are working well that they are seeing across the country, and lists federal resources for prevention. And so I'm going to drop this link in the chat. It is a lengthy report, but you may find it of interest. And we will be unpacking it as a COC, and then also, of course, through this meeting. So not this particular meeting, but through these types of meetings. And so, but if you want to go ahead and take a look, there it is in that in the chat. And then there's an advocacy opportunity. So the National Housing Law Project, the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, and the Tenant Union Federation created a National Tenants Bill of Rights to shift the power to renters. And so it's a comprehensive proposal that was written with direct input from tenant leaders, people with lived experience, law experts, and advocates across the country. And when it's enacted, the National Tenants Bill of Rights will seek to correct the balance of power between tenants and landlords that I know many of us see day to day, that fuels racial inequities and puts across the country 114 million people who rent their homes at a lot of risk, great risk of housing instability, harassment, eviction, and homelessness. And of course, this is all to say that we also have incredible property owners and managers who work closely with us. But we also are aware of the fact that there are some property owners and managers who do take advantage of people who are fearful of being put out to the street. And so the National Tenants Bill of Rights will create, or does create, a legislative framework to ensure the following tenants' rights: a fair application, a fair lease, freedom from discrimination and harassment, habitable homes, reasonable rent and costs, the right to organize, and safeguards against eviction. All of which seem like no-brainers to many of us. And we've seen in our community what happens when those things are not enforced. And so what I'm going to do now, let me admit, I'm going to drop in the chat where you can sign in support of the National Tenants Bill of Rights. And this, sometimes I give advocacy opportunities and it's only for organizations or it's only for individuals. Well, you check a box that says, are you an individual? Are you representing an organization? Are you an elected official? And so everybody and anybody can and should sign in support of the National Tenants Bill of Rights. And there's some links in there that you can read more about it if you'd like. So, before we move on, I just want to say that we're all in a lot of meetings with one another. And I want to just kind of lift up some energy that I'm seeing, that I'm really excited and optimistic about, hearing about projects that are launching, hearing about agencies that are moving into new spaces. We're working on using our data in new and innovative ways, strategic ways. We're working to actively meet the federal benchmarks to end veteran homelessness in our region. I think that the agencies themselves are working together more like stronger and healthier than we've seen since COVID. COVID presented a number of challenges, a lot of trauma, a lot of exhaustion, a lot of financial insecurity. And so while there are limited detail updates today, I just want to say that I have this great sense that we're entering a new phase of work, and I'm really, really excited about it. Um, and so, without further ado, I did see that Pierre had joined us from 232 Help. And so, if you don't mind grounding us in some local updates, um, grounding our local updates in some 232 Help data. Pierre?
Hi, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this data that I prepared for today was for the third quarter of 2024, looking at what needs are in the community. So just a refresher every time when we're looking at when people call 211, they within the goal within 60 seconds, and that normally is how it happens, they are speaking to a live person, a community resource specialist that was trained to listen to their story, um, and understand where they're coming from, what they're in need of, and then hopefully give them information about a resource in their area or make a referral to a community partner, right? So when neighbors are calling us, that's what we're trying to do. So when we're looking at met needs, this means that when a neighbor called, a community resource specialist was able to provide information or a referral to a community partner. So, when people are calling, they're calling for a shelter, coordinated entry. About 738 needs were identified. And so when I say needs are identified, just understand that one caller, one neighbor probably has more than one need. So this is not indicative of how many calls we've gotten. It's just the needs that we identified for housing expense assistance. So this is rent, utilities, mortgage, those types of calls, about 782. I will say, we are seeing where we used to see more of the homeless callers, those are pretty constant, but now we are kind of coming up to an increase of the expense assistance, people who are housed, but they are close to possibly becoming homeless because they cannot afford, there's not affordable housing. And then housing search inquiries, a lot of people are calling for Section 8 vouchers to get placed on those waiting lists, of course, because we know that there are none available. Low income housing, those types of resources. And then just some legal inquiries about, I have this issue, so we're making those referrals to like a Acadiana Legal Aid about housing tenants and things like that. Landlord tenants, excuse me. And so unmet needs are where the community resource specialist was not able to provide an information or a referral, or we do get the case where a neighbor will call us back looking for more resources, and the ones that we initially gave them did not work out, and they let us know, hey, this didn't work out. And there's a couple of different reasons why that we capture is, they're ineligible, or the program that they used, some programs you can only go every 6 months, every year. They've already used it. So that's an unmet need because there was no other place to give them. Or the place was just out of funding, which of course that happens. So for homeless services, about 162. And then this is where I was saying we are now seeing a shift into the expense category because the unmet needs are 355 for this quarter. So people have housing. It's just they are fearful of losing that housing because affordable housing is not available or some other kind of circumstance where they cannot afford to continue staying in the home. So we're seeing that shift, that increase. And then housing search increase about 39, and then for legal inquiries about 5. So, and then of course the parishes served on this website. These are the parishes that Arch serves.
I have a question, Pierre. First of all, thank you so much for this. If somebody calls and you refer them somewhere, they're counted as a met need. If they call back and they say, "Yep, that didn't work," is that second call considered an unmet need, or does it cancel out that initial met need?
We mark it as an unmet need.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. And so when, and that also helps too when we're conducting follow-ups to figure out, okay, what's kind of going on. So we can say, when we go in to do it, we look at how many contacts this person has. So, we can see how many met or unmet needs there are. So there is no canceling out. So there could be in these counts, there could be someone who we referred to get utility assistance, and then they tried it 2 days later, called us back, where we're going to track. Okay, it didn't work out, so we can say, hey, this is an unmet need because it is. At the time they're calling, it's an unmet need.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, does anyone have any questions for Pierre? Okay, well, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for offering always your quarterly reports. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to kick it out to the agencies and the folks that are on this call. Um, And so if we, just as a reminder to jog your memory, if your agency or your group are starting any new programs or hosting any events you'd like to share, if you've attended any trainings or you know of any upcoming trainings that you think people would benefit from, if you have any new staff uh, or or vacancies, staff vacancies or board vacancies that you'd like to share, and then any challenges that you would love to kick out to the full group to help maybe solve or source. So just go ahead and take yourself off of mute if you're ready to give an update.
I'll go if no one's gonna go.
Thanks,
It's
Colleen.
Colleen Narita with Catholic Charities of Acadiana. Hi, everyone. A few updates that we have today, or I like to always ask our outreach person before these calls, have you seen any new faces? He confirmed that he has seen quite a few new faces. I asked him if he knew where they were from. He said pretty much just the Lafayette area. So it's not like an influx from somewhere or anything like that. But we'll just continue to stay on top of that and see if there's any trends that we can see. We've continued to stay full at the shelter. We are at our 60 capacity limit. I wanted to let everybody know, I know everyone's aware that we have extended our hours at the diner due to the excessive heat, and that is kind of coming to an end. So as of September 30th, that'll be our last day, staying open till 7 p.m. We will now go back to our old hours of closing at 4 p.m. to the public. And so we would not be serving that dinner meal to the public anymore um, starting October 1st. We do still need volunteers at the diner because we are still serving for the shelter. So if anybody has any friends or family that is looking for volunteer opportunities, that would be an amazing opportunity. Also, I did want to touch upon the hurricane things that you had mentioned. We had two staff members stay at Brown Park, which was the city's shelter for the hurricane. And they told me probably 80% of the people there were our homeless friends that we see on a regular basis. Um, so I really want to encourage a lot of agencies. I don't know if you guys are part of VOAD, or if you know what it is. It's Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster. A lot of our vulnerable homeless folks are in need of assistance during disasters. And so I would encourage you guys to join. Um, uh, Send me an email or a text or a call if you want more information on that, because I think it would be helpful. Um, One other thing that we have that we've been doing that has been wildly successful is homeless to housewarmed. It's a volunteer opportunity for agencies and groups to when someone is about to move out, they've signed their lease. We give them this questionnaire. They tell us all their favorite things and what they like. And this group goes and gets all of like for down to towels to forks and spoons and sets up the place. And it's like they walk in and it's, it's ready for them with all the things that they like. It's made to their liking, and it's been very wonderful. I really think that this is going to be helpful um, to keeping people housed, to have their places feel like home. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. It's been an exciting thing for us, and it's been just a couple of months that we've had that going. But
Can you repeat that name?
Hmm? It's homeless to housewarmed. It's a group that we kind of came up with a volunteer opportunity. If you want more information on it, I'll be happy to share that with you, Rebecca. Like, it's a great opportunity for people that are involved in your work to help do things, and make them feel a part of helping someone to move out on their own.
And to Colleen's earlier point, VOAD, Acadiana, well, it's AVOAD, Acadiana Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. The next meeting is October 18th. That's a Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's online, or at least there's an online option. And it's been, I think, a cornerstone agency or organization coalition, if you will, during disasters, at least since Katrina. And so really want to keep it robust and working. But again, Colleen, thank you so much for the work that you all do all the time, but particularly during hurricane prep. Oh, Colleen, I had one other question. Sorry. I know you thought you were done.
Sure, no problem.
So when it's going to be it's closed at 4 p.m. When does it open again? What is the early when does it open in the morning?
It opens around 7:30.
Okay.
That's it opens to feed around 7:30. Volunteers get there at like 6:30.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure.
I'll go next. Rebecca, Director of Housing with Faith House. We're excited that we think we're going to be able to open our new shelter in Mansura in December. So that's our new date. I know it's pretty quick, but things seem to be happening a lot more rapidly. Our floors have been put down, so that was one of the big things we were waiting on. So we're getting really, really excited. So I'll keep y'all posted in the next couple of months on when we'll be opening. The referrals, they'll still call the regular crisis line. We're just going to have one crisis line between the two shelters. And if somebody's calling from that area or wanting shelter in that area, our advocate that's on call 24 hours, that's here, house 24 hours a day, will contact our 24-hour staff at Mansura and get them in touch with them. So you'll still just be calling the one domestic violence hotline. I wanted to talk about a few events that we have coming up. We have Trivia Night in Marksville on October 18th at 5 p.m. Really fun night. We do trivia. We have a lot of good food to eat. And we're excited that it's on a Friday this time. So hopefully more people can attend. We usually have a really good time at Trivia Night. Dr. Mary Neuheisel is doing our Night of Hope on October 25th at 7 p.m. It's at the warehouse. Tickets are $100. They have a band that plays. They'll have a silent auction and just a host of activities there. So anybody that is available and would like to come, we would love to have you. And lastly, we have our Fall Fest at Moncus Park on November 9th from 10 to 2. That's when you can bring the kiddos down. We have lots of activities, a lot of booths set up for them, just fun things for the kids to do, an activity to do on a weekend, just to come down with the kids. So we would really love to see y'all there. And we have two positions open right now. One I think I've talked to y'all about. We filled it, and then she couldn't take the position. So we have right now we're hiring for an education coordinator. This is someone that's going to go into the schools, elementary, middle, and high school, and work with the kids, teaching them about healthy relationships. Hands are not for hitting. teen talk. We have a lot of different programs depending on the age group. So we go into all the schools in 7 parishes, which are a little bit different than y'all's parishes, but 5 of the parishes in the COC. And it's a really, really neat job. So we're looking for that perfect individual that's going to be able to fit that position. Then we're also hiring for a volunteer and donations coordinator that would work out of the shelter some and work out of our boutique in Crowley. And I just wanted to give a little plug for our boutique. It's doing great. We're in Crowley on North Parkerson. It's an upscale boutique. We get most of our donations are from other boutiques. We sell at really low prices, even lower than Goodwill prices. You can get a whole outfit for under $10, $15. We post online new things that come in. So you can also, if you're on our Facebook page, Wildflower Lane, and you see something you like, you can tell them to hold it for you. They'll send you a link to pay for it, and you can pick up the item whenever. So if you can't make it to Crowley, please join us on Facebook, and you can still shop there. So for the positions, though, you can go to Indeed and apply for either of those two positions if you're interested. So thank you so much.
Hey, Rebecca, tell me one more time when trivia night is. That's the one thing I didn't get down.
Sure, it's October 18th at 5 p.m. In Marksville at the casino.
Fun. Okay, and while Rebecca was talking, Colleen dropped that Catholic Charities has 2 shelter case manager positions and 3 direct care staff positions. So Colleen, if you want to drop if it's an Indeed situation or do they contact Catholic Charities directly to take advantage of that? And then there was a question for you, Rebecca, in the chat.
Just answered it.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, this is great. All right, who's next? Who else has an update for us today?
Hi, this is Alton at Acadiana Cares. Um, Nothing big new going on right now. We're still accepting patients in the clinic for our different medical programs and site programs. We're still doing renovations on site here at Cares and at Pride Plaza. Hopefully, we'll have a real good update with Pride Plaza coming in the next month or so. Thing that I want to get ahead of everybody else is that we're getting to holiday time. So what we do for our families and kids here, we usually give out gifts to those families because sometimes we know with our populations, things get short. So what I'll do is when I'm finished, I'll drop in the chat the person who's usually responsible for that. His name is Keith Prejean. He does real well with getting the families and kids gifts. So and what they do is we try to get different people and different organizations to kind of adopt some families. So I'll put his information in there so you can get in contact with him so we can start making those things happen. The kids really love it. And then the other thing that we're doing that we hadn't done in 5 years due to COVID, we're having our holiday Dirty Santa party. Is where we get all our different participants together, be our Ride Right program, our treatment program, and our housing programs. We come together for one big fun event. And so they've been asking last year, they were like, when we doing? When we doing? It's like, we gotta get COVID under control, y'all. Come on, we gotta do something. So I think this year we're finally on able to get it done again. So if you have gifts or different things that you want to donate, something fun for Dirty Santa, get it to me and we'll make it happen.
That's so much fun. This is like the best meeting we've ever had. Like everything is just happy and fun. Thank you, Alton. Who else has an update? Oh, Taylor. Yep.
Hi guys. I just want to basically tell you about our services real quick too. I'm with Acadiana Legal Services. I am our housing unit managing attorney. Just for people who are unaware of Legal Services, we are free legal services to the low income and elderly. We have not only housing services, so if someone is facing eviction, we can step in and help represent them, as well as foreclosure, both prevention and defense. But we also have a family law department. So anything from custody, child support, domestic violence, as well as a administrative law unit. So if anyone needs help appealing a food stamp denial or any sort of other benefits they might get, SSI, appealing that, or appealing Social Security disability. Trying to think of what else we have. Oh, and our general law unit. So if anyone needs help making wills, powers of attorney, it's a great time right now to refer them to us because we have a grant for anyone over 60 where, well, they'll qualify regardless of their income and assets. So it's a great time to do any estate planning for the elderly right now with our office. Um, as well as general collection issues, bankruptcy issues. Um, so yes, I just wanted to bring that up. If you have any clients or tenants that may have any issues, our website has online applications now, so they can certainly apply online as well as giving us a call. So we're trying to make it a little bit easier for everyone. But
So
yeah, that,
Taylor, if somebody isn't computer savvy or doesn't have access to internet, right? They can call the main number and they just say kind of what's going on and they'll be directed to the appropriate department.
correct. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is to be a little bit quicker with taking our application. So the idea is if they call during our intake hours, they'll do an application with them. A paralegal will do an application with them right then and there. If they're eligible for services, then that application is forwarded to an attorney. So then an attorney is going to review it and may either call them or do a letter for them, depending on what, they might need. But
Okay,
yeah,
that's great. Okay, thanks, Taylor. I appreciate
no
it.
problem. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Taylor?
I see Wendy has one in the chat box, but I'll respond to her. But yeah, you can send clients now. We're from, our intake hours are Monday, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I want to say from 9 to 12, I believe. And then Thursdays we do 1 to 3. But I can double check on the intake hours, but they certainly are on our website. And I'll put the website as well too, and our phone number in the chat box for everyone.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Anybody else have an update for us today? Okay, I've got one more Arch specific one. I put it at the end because it wasn't COC related. We're having a bake-off and fair featuring Acadiana home bakers on Friday, November 8th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Vermilionville. We're gonna have live music. We're gonna have some family games. There's gonna be food in addition to the samples that you'll be able to try and vote on, that you'll be tasting, as well as like a panel of judges. There's adult and junior divisions. So just, to clarify, home bakers are any amateur or hobby bakers, as well as bakers who run a small home-based business. There are going to be 4 categories, and there'll be first through third places in each division, and then, of course, a People's Choice Award. And it's just a $10 entry. And we're asking that just to ensure that, bakers who sign up will come. And then bakers are encouraged to bring additional items to sell. So if you are a home baker or you know of a home baker and we're headed into the holiday season, it's great to be able to pick up those goods and maybe you can freeze them for your family events. But also for the bakers, it's a good way to raise a little extra cash, some extra exposure before you head into the holidays. And so you can register as a baker at archacadiana.org/bake-me-home-bakers, or you can we'll have flyers around. You can scan that QR code. If you do have any questions, I'm going to drop Kara's email in the chat. She is leading this event in a lot of ways. And so she will be able to answer your question if I can spell and talk at the same time. Kara at archacadiana.org. There you go. And the link is, I will do that too, /bake-me-home bakers. We think it's going to be a super fun event. It's the inaugural event. inaugural event, and we plan to be doing it yearly. So so please come on out, and then the next day you can head to Moncus Park and burn off those calories at the Faith House event. So anyway, without further ado, unless anybody else, I'm going to give one more shot at any other updates or announcements. Okay. Well, look, I really appreciate y'all's time. Thank you so much. See you next month. Although I'll see, I think 90% of you beforehand. If you need anything, reach out. Thanks. Bye-bye.